So the Miata recently suffered catastrophic engine damage due to a bearing failure from low oil pressure, and I want to discuss what should be done with your fittings and hoses if this happens. Bearing failure of any kind or any internal engine failure is a very serious issue and almost always result in metal shavings being deposited into the oil. These shavings can wreak havoc on other parts of the engine, so it's important to thoroughly clean or replace any part that touches oil. Shavings of metal or any debris as small as 0.05 millimeters can cause serious damage to oil pumps or other engine bearings or camshafts. This includes all internal engine components, oil coolers, turbochargers, and yes, any fittings and hoses involved with the engine oil, including oil cooler hoses and turbocharger hoses. Oftentimes the hoses cannot be thoroughly cleaned because it is impossible to fully inspect the interior of the hoses, and I highly recommend replacing them. I do recommend that you replace your fittings as well, although these are smaller parts that are easier to inspect and ensure that they have been cleaned thoroughly. Some fittings you can easily clean with a brake cleaner and a shop towel, although if you have access to an ultrasonic part cleaner, this can be very beneficial in removing debris from these fittings and other engine components. These are the hoses from my remote oil filter and oil cooler setup. Unfortunately, as they cannot be cleaned, they're going to go right into the trash. Let's jump over to the workbench and take a look at the fittings. Alright, so I took great care in making sure that the fittings and hoses retained whatever shavings were on them, because I want to show you guys what this really looks like. So here you can see right there. I'm going to try to get this to focus. So here you can see there's lots of very, very tiny shavings all up and down here. I'm trying to find one where it's a little more apparent. This one doesn't look too bad. Well, this one's really gritty. You can hear it. So you see here, you can't hear it at all. But here, really, really bad. That means that there's lots of little bits of metal in this piece that, oh wow, yeah, you can see all that there. See all those little hard to see on camera because it's so tiny, but you see all those little sparkly bits? That's metal. That's little metal shavings that have made their way into this this fitting. So these need to be very thoroughly cleaned. Okay, this one feels pretty good. Oh yeah, look at that. Right there. Huge metal flake. Straight off the bearing. See if we can get that to focus. Well, you can kind of see it like right there. So, I really shouldn't use these again. Considering that I have access to these parts, I'm just going to toss them in the trash. But before I toss them, I want to show you guys just how thorough you need to be in order to reuse the fittings. Yeah, you can see right there, huge chunks of metal right there. Any of these little bits can cause some very serious problems with the engine. Especially since it's cost me quite a bit of money to get the engine repaired, and it doesn't make sense to spend, thousands and thousands of dollars building your engine, doing all of your stuff, repairing stuff, and then trying to save, 10 or 20 bucks here or there on your fittings. If you have catastrophic engine damage, if you have some serious problem, these need to be replaced. Do not reuse them. And if you really, really do want to reuse them for cost reasons, then throw out the hoses, and I highly recommend cleaning these extremely well. So I'm going to get a little bit of brake cleaner. I'm going to get a microfiber towel, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so I've cleared off a little room here, and I'm going to start here. I'm going to use this catch pan to help catch little bits of debris. Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, here I can hear it. It's really bad. are so many tiny fragments that I don't know if I can really get it on the camera. Will I show like that? Yeah, maybe. Like, there is so much metal in there that I really would not recommend using another hose end like this. I would just throw this one in the trash. Set that aside. This one doesn't look too bad. A lot of metal on the outside. Yeah, shine a light in there. If you see a lot of metal, just throw it out. Like, it's just not worth it. You know, you got an engine with all these nice parts, thousands of dollars of rods, pistons, engine work, machine shop work, and it doesn't make sense to save a couple bucks on some fittings. I'm gonna say, I just want to see if I can even get this stuff cleaned out, because I just don't think you can. Maybe if you had like a brush, like a bore cleaning brush from like a rifle or something, you might be able to get one of those and clean it out. Yep, there it is. Got a little bit right there. It's a little shiny. You see it? Here, I'll shine the light on it. Maybe I'll turn the brightness down. There we go. Now you can kind of see a little dot right there, a little shiny dot. That's all it takes. That little bit will wreck your engine. I'm really not feeling comfortable doing this. I'm going to check some more of the fittings out, but honestly, all of these I'm probably just going to throw in the trash. Ooh, yeah, this is one of the really bad ones. I think this was one of the ones that was on the oil cooler. Full of metal shavings. This one's toast. And I'm really not saying these things, you know, just because I own a fitting company and I can sell you guys oodles and oodles of fittings, you know. I'm saying this because I'm trying to save you money. Because if you have a bearing failure and your fittings and hoses are contaminated and they're almost impossible to clean out, you know, if even, I mean, a couple of little bits isn't going to do anything, but when there's, you know, literal hundreds and hundreds of little bits, I mean, you can see the, let me see if we can get this in the frame, there we go. You can see it. See all those little shiny bits as I pass the light over it? That's all going to end up in your oil. That's all going to wreak havoc on your camshafts, your bearings over time. Yeah, it's not worth it, you know. Yeah, one of these might cost, you know, 15 bucks, but what's more expensive, $15 or several $1,000s? You decide. I'd rather spend the 15 bucks and not risk thousands of dollars in equipment. So, you know, you can save. I can save these, I guess, because these are on the outside of the hose and they're just keeping them in place, so I can save these. But these are all going, in the trash. Sucks to, you know, throw away what almost appears to be good product. You know, like this still looks pretty good on the outside, but on the inside, you don't know what's in there. I don't know what's in there. The engine repair is going to cost me a decent bit of money to do, and it doesn't make sense to, you know, try to save money here or there. So these are all just, yeah, this is all going in the trash. There we go. So yeah, guys, there you have it. I tried cleaning them out, and I don't think it's safe. I don't think there's a way to clean out these parts reliably. I mean, maybe if you have an ultrasonic parts cleaner, or you've got a bore brush and you're going to sit there and, you know, ream them in and out, but even then, like, you don't know what debris could be remaining in those parts, and you don't know, you know, if those parts are going to wreak havoc on thousands of dollars of, you know, of your bearings, your rods, your oil pump. Like, for sure, your oil pump could get damaged, you know, because these parts were small enough to make it past their oil filter, right? So they're going to go through the oil filter, through the whole engine, back into your oil, and they're going to get picked up by the oil pump. And the oil pump is one of the few engine components, if maybe the only engine component, that doesn't receive any filtered oil. And that could cause a serious problem, because if you get a nice, decent enough scratch or damage to your oil pump, it can fail to deliver appropriate oil pressure to the rest of the engine. I don't believe this was the case in my engine, but that's all it takes. If you have sufficient damage to the oil pump, it can cause an internal leak inside of the oil pump, so the pressurized area is leaking back into the unpressurized area. And then you have further issues. You're driving your car, and next thing you know, you've got another spun bearing. So all of those parts, unfortunately, I really hate to throw them away, but it's not worth it, because I get sufficient debris in the engine, and then I fail another engine. And this rebuild is costing me a lot of money, and it just doesn't make sense. So there's my recommendation. Just throw them away. I understand. I know I sell the parts, so I'm not trying to sound like I'm trying to just sell you, more and more parts, but ultimately I'm trying to save you money. I'm trying to prevent you from experiencing any further headaches, any further problems. So replace your fittings, replace your hoses, anything that touches your oil, get them cleaned, thoroughly inspected. My engine is off over at the machine shop. They're doing a full tear down. They're removing the oil gallery plugs, cleaning everything out, ultrasonic, hot tank, the works, because I don't want to have to deal with this again. I sent my turbocharger off to Work Turbo over in Alabama. They told me that my bearings look like they've got some scratches on them, so they're going to replace the bearings. Fortunately, it looks like the turbo isn't too damaged, just needs the new bearings, polish the turbine shaft, and I'm good to go. Oil coolers, replace your oil cooler. Don't even consider it. Don't even try cleaning it out. You can try, blasting brake cleaner all you want through it, but you're never going to get it all cleaned out. There are some companies that you can pay where they'll flush the oil cooler. They'll send fluid going one way, and then they'll send fluid going the other way, and they'll do all kinds of stuff. But ultimately, if you have the option, if you can replace the oil cooler, do it, because your oil cooler is just going to be, your oil cooler is probably worse than the fittings, because the fittings you can run a bore brush through it. What are you going to do with your oil cooler? You can't run, there's tons of tiny passages in your oil cooler. You can't run anything through that to clean it out, So replace it. Just replace your fittings, replace your hoses, your oil cooler, turbo. Well, you don't have to replace the turbo. Just get it cleaned out. Take it to a good shop like Work Turbo in Alabama, and have them fix that for you. So anyway, that's enough of this PSA. Thank you guys for watching. If you need any fittings or hoses, check out finishlinefactory.com. If you own a shop, scroll to the bottom of the website or go to the link in the description below. There's a link there that goes to our wholesale application, so you can sign up to become a wholesale dealer. So check those out. I'm out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.